Hello and welcome to our Flip video lesson 2.05 from Republic to Empire. So the recording will be posted here on this PDF when we finish. Learning objectives of this lesson: define Pax Romana and Forum, describe the role of trade between Rome and East, the Silk Road, recognize the extent of the Roman Empire at its height, and measure emperors took to unify the empire. So what we're going to be talking about during this Flip video lesson: the introduction will be the time of Roman peace, student guide questions, your student guide pages 318 to 321, important vocabulary. We'll talk about some vocabulary that will be needed for your complete understanding of this lesson, and then your Human Odyssey reading pages 376 to 381. It is important that you do have those pages complete so you have a full understanding of this lesson. Introduction 2.05 from Republic to Empire. For nearly 200 years after the death of Julius Caesar and the rise of Caesar Augustus, the Roman Empire enjoyed a period of affluence and relative calm that extended through the Mediterranean. It became known as the Pax Romana, or Roman peace. How did the government of Rome foster peace and prosperity? What unified the vast empire that stretched from Spain to Assyria and from North Africa to Great Britain? We're going to go ahead and find out here in this lesson. So open your student guide to page 320, and you can go ahead and fill in these answers as we're moving along this lesson on page 320. Question number 1, what was the Pax Romana? So the Pax Romana, or Roman peace, was this period of stability which lasted nearly 2 centuries. And remember, a century is 100 years, so it lasted nearly 200 years. Question number 2, what evidence indicates that the entire Roman Empire was unified? So across this vast realm, and vast means large, across the vast realm there was one official language and one currency. The empire adopted one system of weights and measures, and there was one government administration and one set of laws. That was huge. That was a really, really big thing to unify. You needed that common language, that common currency, that common government, that common system of weights and measurements. And weights and measurements were important because of trade. Question number 3, what did the Romans value above all else? The Romans valued their law above all else. So they valued that hierarchy of law of order. Question number 4, what principles were incorporated into Roman law? Roman law included common sense ideas about fairness, but also recognized local practices and rules. Legal principles and respect for the governed were set and helped to unify the Roman Empire. And remember, if at any time you need to pause this video, you can do so to help you fill in that reading guide. Question number 5, what responsibilities did Roman citizens have? The citizens had to pay taxes and they had to serve in the army. Very similar to our democracy in the United States today. Well, we don't have to serve in the army, but we do have to file a military intent. Question number 6, why was the system of roads important to Rome? The highways allowed Roman armies to move swiftly through the empire. Good roads also increased travel and communication, so Roman culture spread quickly over a wide area. Luxury goods such as silk, jewels, and spices came from as far away as China and India. Merchants, messengers, soldiers, and travelers trekked to and from the empire's capital city. So we kind of take roads for granted now because there are roads everywhere, but there definitely were not roads way back when. Question number 7, describe the imperial capital during the 2nd century AD. And remember that century is 100 years long. AD means Anno Domini, or we have BC and BCE. So it would be the same as, BCE would be before Christ or before Common Era. AD would be Anno Domini, which is also the same as Common Era, CE. The population had grown to about 1 million. Hundreds of warehouses were bursting with grain, oil, wine, salt, and spices. Everything needed to feed the hungry citizens of Rome. The city had new roads and bridges. Temples and theaters had been repaired. Buildings and sculptures were created. So that bursting with grain and oil, remember that word is they had that surplus of food. Question number 8, describe the Forum. The Forum was a complex of great squares and temples and miles of covered markets. The Forum was the main center of government, business, law, and religion in Rome. The forum included Temple of Romulus and a column that marked the very center of the empire. And then this is just that bonus question or that bonus part. Russian rulers were called czars and German rulers were called kaisers. These two words come from a title used by Roman emperors. What is the title? It's Caesar. Okay, and sometimes you'll see it pronounced as C-Z-A-R-S. Sometimes they pronounce that as Caesar. Sometimes they pronounce that as czar and leave the C silent. And then that Kaiser, so it's a combination of the two words of Caesar. All right, the Silk Road route to Rome. So movement. After the goods were shipped across the Mediterranean Sea, the Roman system of roads made trade easier within the empire. Because the goods could easily be sent through the empire, the demand for the goods rose. Sea trade increased because there was demand for goods in places that could only be reached by sea. Ideas were spread and exchanged, and that's that idea of cultural diffusion, that movement of ideas, beliefs, things, items. Why risk the dangerous travel of the Silk Road? People took the risk because they could earn large profits. Wealthy Romans wanted silk and spices from the East. So there was a large price to be paid and a large price to be made. What if Romans would have learned to make silk? If the Romans had learned how to make a silk, there might have been less trade because the people from the West wouldn't have had to go to China to get silk. And if you remember from first semester, when you learned about the Silk Road and the Chinese development of silk, remember it was a highly coveted, highly valued secret. They didn't want to let it out how silk was made. And this is part of the reason why. It helped their diffusion, it helped their trade, it helped their profit. Okay, so just kind of a recap of all of that. What united the Roman Empire? The Romans established one official language, Latin. Since the people of the provinces used the same language, Latin, they identified themselves as part of the Roman Empire. Use of a single language eased trade and communication between people of different areas. They established one currency, which means money. Currency is money, which made trading between people in different areas easier. They established one system of weights and measurements, which made trade easier among the people in the various regions. When you're trading wheat or whatever you're trading, hey, I'm going to trade a pound of this. If a pound isn't the same thing, if your measurement isn't the same, it's very difficult to trade. So that's why that made that much easier for trading. The Romans established one government administration, which helped maintain order in the empire. The imperial governors, chosen by the Senate, enforced the law in the provinces, but they tried to respect the customs of the people they governed. They established one body of laws. The law of nations was established to govern both Romans and non-Romans. It applied to all people under Roman rule. And then the Romans established a system of roads which connected territories, so culture spread, armies moved swiftly, and increased trade within the empire and other cultures. All right, so some important vocabulary. Currency. Currency is the system of money in general, use in any particular country, so whatever money form they use. Cultural diffusion is that idea of spreading, the spreading of one's culture's practices, beliefs, ideas, and items. So the spreading of food ideas, music ideas, religion ideas, government ideas, language ideas, tool ideas. That spreading of ideas is cultural diffusion. So culture is relating to the ideas, customs, and social behavior of a society. And then facilitate means to make easy or easier. So an action or a process that makes something easy or easier to do. So that idea of one system of currency, one system of measure, the Silk Road, the roads on the Silk Road, that facilitated to make things easier, to make all of those, actions easier. So again, it's so important to complete your reading pages 376 to 381. That will help to tie this lesson together. There are bits and pieces in there that are not filled in during this video lesson. Here we come to our quote section. We're taking it from the Confucius, the Analects, which we actually learned about last semester, tying that in. If a man is correct in his own person, then there will be obedience without orders given. But if he is not correct in his own person, there will not be obedience, even though orders are given. And that was said by Confucius. Something good to think about. So thanks so much for joining me today. The ultimate list, remember, get more sleep, drink more water, get more exercise, read more, get more organized, clean more often, explore more, relax more, have more patience forget doing more. Just try your best. Have an amazing day. Thanks so much for joining me.